Hello everyone, welcome back to the second game of LeelaKnightOdds against Joel Benjamin, with Joel Benjamin leading by 1-0 after a very impressive first game. I've got my coffee with me. I may even have some biscuits, so I'm well prepared. We'll see what Leela's got for us. So the first game was with the G1 knight missing. The second game, I think, will be with the B1 knight missing. So we're going to see what sort of interesting stuff that leads to. And yeah, I mean, very solid performance from Joel in the first game. So yeah, going to be interesting to see whether he can keep that up just throughout the match. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be, at some stage, there's going to be some chances for, given, I think, but really he was very, very impressive in that first game, kept total control. So, yeah, going to be a toughie for Leela, I think. Let's have a look. I'm just going to have a little look at... just have a look again at that first game, maybe just see how relive how that all went, and just check that I've got the board looking vaguely right. It's a little bit bright, isn't it? Really, that seems to happen from time to time, just to get a little bit bright. Hopefully that'll sort of improve somehow. It's not like that on my screen, but somehow seems to be like that here. Yeah, c4, e5, queen c2. Interesting. I hadn't actually seen Leela doing that. Mostly the knight gets developed to c3 quite early in Leela's normal games. I mean, what Joel did was very, very sensible there, just keeping control. Hey, Mr. Beads, keeping control of the center there. c5 was quite interesting from Leela. Not your normal sort of thing. You don't normally sort of close the center like that. And yeah, here Joel mentioned that he was kind of a little, well, he wasn't too worried about d4 happening. I mean, there's quite a lot of kingside attack happening, but he was sort of wary of that happening eventually. Of white playing d4 and playing these sort of closed center positions against Leela. Because it's really true. I mean, you do see a lot of these closed center positions, King's Indians in particular. When Leela's playing black, you get Czech Benoni type things, and seems to play them very, very well indeed. So yeah, a slightly more, you don't want it to be too open, but slightly open, so you feel you've got the possibility of exchanging some stuff. That's not bad. But I guess that, I think what Joel did very well in this game was kind of keep things, he didn't sort of, try and play too safe. So, for example, after f4, there's the possibility of f5, but it's just very dangerous for white because of queen h4. So there's no need to sort of block anything yet. You can leave your possibilities open somehow. So and I think that's what he did very well. He didn't go all out, but he didn't take away all of his possibilities. And in fact, not playing f5, keeping these possibilities, that enabled him to bring his pieces into the king side like that, and this was just a very nice controlled way, because it could have all gone wrong, right? I mean, you could lose control, make a miscalculation, let the rook come to g2, and all of a sudden there's an attack somehow. But yeah, I think again, the time there, you just sort of see that when he was able to take at some stage 10 minutes or whatever, and just think it through carefully, properly assess where the danger is, not see any ghosts or anything, and then just play somehow. And yeah, and Leela just wasn't able to create anything. And I think that Leela got a little spooked with possible counterplay on the queen side here, and ended up sort of closing the queen side. But yeah, that was that's good in general, probably good objectively, but in terms of creating counterplay, I mean, it just lets Joel forget about the left hand of the board and focus on the right hand side, where he's pretty strong, with a knight on e4 like that. So yeah, somehow from Leela that was understandable, because I kept on screaming for b6, but probably not so clever, from the winning point of view. So yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. 20 viewers already. Fantastic. Yeah, intrigued. I mean, Viren made the point that it seems to go, you know, a little bit up and down somehow. Leela's the way Leela plays, and I think we saw that in the Wanda Liang match as well. There were a couple of games where Wanda just seemed to be in complete control, and then other games where it just got completely random somehow. So yeah, difficult to say really, but I think definitely there are games that you'll see. I think with with strong strong players playing that where there's just complete control and there doesn't seem to be much Leela can do, and then other games it just gets chaotic for some reason. So I'm expecting to see that. But so far, looking at this, you definitely say that it feels like Joel's got the time control that he needs in order to keep control of this, be able to keep control of this game. Playing very well, of course, but playing very well, able to keep control. Whereas I think even up to 10+3, it's just unbelievably difficult to do that. Hey, hello, Livu. Good to see you. So, game 2. Can't wait. It's let's have a look. I had prepared a few little things actually for the moments where we weren't actually looking at the games. Let me just see if I can find that. Ah, yes, indeed. Yeah. Let's see whether I can do that or not. Whether I'm good here. Just do a little bit of extra sharing because we're waiting 7 or 8 minutes, aren't we, for something? So let me just share something else. Yay! Oh, good Lord! Wait a minute. Not like that. Otherwise, that's going to be rather disappointing. View notation. There we are. There we are. Right. Play screen sharing. There we are. So I'm hoping that you can that you're seeing this. Yay! Or you're seeing it. That's very good. So this is a little tactical puzzle for you. Not an easy one actually. A tactical puzzle for you. This is Leela with knight odds. Funnily enough, sacrifice the queen. It's not queen odds though. Leela with knight odds against a player, and this is a tactic from the game. Most surprising thing about Leela chess playing style, competing against humans, that it just is able to find unbelievably tricky things for humans all the time, even with less material. It just it shouldn't have been possible, you would have thought, but somehow it ends up being possible. It's so this is just a quick little tactical puzzle for you. So Leela sacrificed a queen for 2 rooks and somehow got a knight back along the way. It's white to play and win in this position. There's a few interesting little aspects to it. First of all, there's a knight on prise here, of course, so that's not fantastic. Knight on prise there. However, what you also have here is that there's a rook on that can take a pawn on h7 and would attack the king and the queen if the bishop were not on f5. So the key thing is there a move in this position that you can try and distract the bishop on f5 away from the defense of the h7 pawn? And if you can develop a piece by doing so, and also restrict the opponent's king, then that would be absolutely incredible. And the tactic there is actually The tactic is the move bishop h3 in this position. So, so of course, if bishop takes h3, we go rook takes h7 check. And black played in the game. Black played the move bishop g6, and then that's the one, Thomas, Mr. Beads, well played. That's the one. And then after bishop g6, there was one move to finish it off here for white. Give you just a little bit, yeah. Bishop h3, well done. There was one move to finish it off here with white. It's, you know, you never, basically with Leela, you see that it never rains, but it pours there. It's once the tactics start, they just never really stop. And the good way to finish this off, bearing in mind that the bishop has covered the e6 square, and the other bishop is sort of covering the g7 square, and the rook is covering the back rank. So it's really, yeah, really pretty powerful there. So the best move that white has got here is to play the move rook to f1. And yeah, the key thing being rook f1. That's right, Thomas. If e takes f3, then rook f3 is going to be check. And it's all going to be checkmate because the king is absolutely pinned to where it is, and sort of skewered by the bishops cutting across there. So there we are. That's just a little bit of Leela tactics there. Let's just go back to our game. I need it on Chrome. There we are. Great. Some strange reason when I'm sharing ChessBase, it sort of keeps on flashing all the time when I'm sharing it on the screen. So that's some of those things that you just get with streaming that just are very, very mysterious all the time. But okay. Right, so game 2, we've got another 2 or 3 minutes. Not long. Yeah, they're very nice tactics. I've got a whole set of them. Again, I did a series of videos on there. I might well do another set. I've got about another 60 or 70 amazing tactics. I've also got a set of tactics from my games actually as well, which I might do some videos on. Some of my bullet games have actually been quite nice. I lose an awful lot on time, a queen up, but the ones that I do manage to win are quite nice. All right. Hey, Christopher. Good to see you. Lots of people joining. Excellent. So yeah, knight on. We're going to have the knight on b1 missing. In general, with the knight on b1 missing, let me have a look. What's the main? What is the main? Knight on b1 missing. Sorry, just looking for a game with a knight on b1 missing. The main move for Leela is 1e4. And then knight f3, yeah, d4, f4. F4 is quite popular, funnily enough, with the with the knight on g1, and yeah, plays these sort of reverse Leningrad duchies with f4, knight f3, g3, bishop g2, d3, and very yeah, never underestimate GMs. You know, it's no, I mean, you know, I do really think that I would expect that that a strong player like Joel will be able to will get a match victory in here, simply because, you know, Leela is incredibly confusing, constantly setting problems, and you know, with shorter time controls, even 10+3, it's really tough to stay on top of them. But with 60+, with this sort of time control, I think that. I think that the grandmasters have got enough time to be able to absorb each confusion from Leela, spend a couple of minutes, regroup, and go forward, and eventually get to a position where it doesn't matter what Leela does anymore. It's just going to be a clear win. So yeah, I mean, time for the human makes a massive difference somehow. It's not saying that, you know, you do get a bit fooled, right? Because I think Joel played really, really well. You know, it's not like anyone could do this. It's incredibly difficult. But yeah, you know, it's... right. So, oh, a little bit... I'm just going to see whether I can, by moving the board around, I can let it a little bit less bright. Oh, wait a minute. If I... sorry, do forgive me, just trying a few things. Okay, yeah, it's just somehow if I've got it on my secondary screen, it seems to go incredibly bright, the the screen. Some of those weird things. 30-0. Oh, no increment is always tough. No increment is 30-0. So I wouldn't recommend playing Leela without an increment. Okay, so so Leela playing one knight f3 and b4. Let's have a look. I believe I've seen this one before quite a lot. So Joel is thinking here already. He's played a few more moves. Oh, wow! There we are. Oh, just took a while to refresh there. So g6 from Joel, g3, bishop g7. This has all been seen before, I think. Bishop g2, castles, and then a4. Yeah, I've got 4 games from Leela in the past month with this. So yeah, you know, quite a normal sort of Leela opening there. And I'm just going to swap my things around, I think. There we are. Yeah, okay, we'll do it like this. See whether that helps a little bit more. So what plans has Black played here? We've had a5. We've also had d6, which is you know, fairly normal. And after d6, Leela normally plays bishop b2, e5, and d3. And yeah, there's been some games with e4 actually, interestingly enough. Takes, knight takes, takes, castles, which is not a bad result for Black, I would have thought. This is quite decent. And that was actually a game. Now, who was that against, actually? I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah, rook e8, rook a3, covering c3, knight f6, and then queen a1, and the game continues. But, you know, Black's done sort of fine out of the opening there. But e5 played by Joel, and d3. So we're pretty much into we're pretty much on the unknown territory here for this. Let's have a little look also to see whether Joel has had this before, because that's quite interesting as well, isn't it? So knight f3, knight f6, b4, oh, d6. No, he hasn't quite had this yet. He's had something similar-ish, but not quite exactly the same. So yeah, you know, it's yeah, no, indeed, engines do love space. It's what they do. It's what Leela does very well, actually, in this odds chess. That you know, it doesn't have as many pieces, so it starts grabbing space with its pawns. And yeah, here we see a5 happening. Just have a little look. Maybe we might we transpose back into something else? Just seeing whether we transpose back into another game. Leela tends to, yeah, has always been meeting a5 with b5, like here. Now, in general, I would say that Leela, this is probably a pretty decent opening for Leela. Obviously, Leela is a piece down still, but in general terms, it's a little bit more closed. Harder for Black to really get this clear somehow. You know, so there's nothing, not very easy to just liquidate everything. So I think from this point of view, it's quite decent for Leela. So Rook A3, yeah, we saw this already in a previous game. Leela seems to like playing the Rook to A3 here, giving the Queen a chance to play to A1 as well, for example. Always a double-edged one to play B5, but it was one of the things we put in Game Changer actually. That you know, that AlphaZero was very keen on you know, meeting an A5 with B5 in such sort of structures, and yeah, it was slightly surprising, and but yeah, won and yeah, had quite a few good games with that. And I mean, you do notice, I mean, obviously engines are a lot stronger nowadays than AlphaZero was, but you do notice that yeah, quite a number of the mannerisms that AlphaZero had, yeah, you do see them back in the engines in terms of structures that they kind of like and all of that. Obviously, the tactics and everything is better now, but than AlphaZero was, but still, you know, a lot of the things that you saw there in AlphaZero's play, you do often see back. And yeah, I mean, I played a game where I was really trying to copy AlphaZero, and yeah, I played, you know, this B5 move when A5 was played, which wasn't at all natural for me, and spent a lot of time in the game agonizing about whether to do it. But I did it, and it worked out very well. So, you know, but that is the thing about, you know, trying to replicate engine playing by yourself. I mean, some of the things, I think for younger players, it's easier somehow, but for older players, we've been kind of conditioned sometimes, you know, to think that certain things just aren't good. And, you know, it's kind of hard to unlearn that. Even if you know, oh, I can do this, you know, looks like the way AlphaZero played it, it can be tough to really believe in it somehow. But yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. Exactly what Larry's saying. Somehow engines don't seem to worry about the squares they leave behind. I mean, Leela's often in these sort of King's Indian structures. You know, Leela was playing B5, and you thought it was a totally rubbish move. You know, blocking the queen side, letting go of this C5 square, and yet, you know, Leela was making it work somehow with some rather gorgeous things later. There's a great game on my website, actually, on the Silicon Road, Leela against Defend Chess, with one of these King's Indian structures where Leela plays the move B5, and I went into massive amounts of depth about what Leela's idea was, and it is quite incredible. And Peter Heine Nielsen also showed me an example with something very similar, with you know, Leela playing B5. It looks like you've blocked up the queen side, but then there's some sort of C4 to C5 pawn sacrifice that happens later. And so I went into that in a huge amount of depth, and yeah, really interesting. But yeah, this is a kind of an undefined position somehow. I mean, Joel's got to try and find a plan, and Leela's sort of going to try and creep up silently and just gradually gain a bit more space. So yeah, this E3 move, quite typical, not playing E4 or anything yet, maybe looking at playing D4 and then C4. Yeah, I'm not sure about this knight on C5. It was maybe a little bit early playing it there. On the other hand, it has allowed the bishop to develop, but maybe you're just going to retreat the knight at some stage. Might not be silly. Because yeah, this move D4 is a little bit irritating. I mean, if you play Queen D7, for example, well, actually, is that true? I was going to say you could play D4 then, but I'm actually wondering whether Ah, no, this doesn't work. Sorry. Rook takes queen b5. There's this queen a1 move to defend both of these guys. So that would be yeah, that's quite clever. So so yeah, you've got to watch out a little bit for d4. I mean, the thing is about playing with peace odds, of course, is that you do always wonder. I mean, this position. I mean, black still got 2 pawns for the. It's 2 pawns up. Okay, you've lost the piece back. There's 2 pawns up, so you do always wonder. But actually, this would probably be quite dangerous for black. I'm threatening rook a5. I'm also threatening d5. Somehow that always seems to be the case with Leela, that whatever seems to happen, its pieces always seem to be very, very active indeed somehow. So that would not be a good move, queen d7. You could play queen c8. Feels a little bit passive somehow. I quite like the move knight d7, to be honest. Just because if you go d4, I'd probably just take and then go d5 or something, and if you took with a bishop, well, then I might go back to c5, and just claim, well, you can't drive my knight away anymore. That might be quite sensible. I think after knight d7, probably white will go c4, I think. Then you can decide what to do with black here. Knight b6 is not so stupid. d5 is possible as well. c6 is possible as well. Doesn't lose a pawn, of course, because this mysterious rook on b8 has done quite a good job. You could just play, play c6, and then you're looking for d5 afterwards. Just it's not so bad, somehow. I quite like that. Now, Joel played rook e8, and Leela's gone queen a1. Hyper modern there. So the queen putting some pressure here. Actually, it was quite similar to the last game, right? I mean, in the last game, Leela played bishop b2 to d4 and then queen c2 to b2. And here Leela's putting the queen on the long diagonal. Richard Reti would be proud. So, of course, that's one of the advantages of not having a knight on b1. You can get your queen to a1 quicker. But it's quite nice. I mean, the rook's sort of defending the third rank, so you can play c4 and d3 isn't hanging. And, the queen's able to move there. So, yeah. Quite decent this for white, and you're still again queen d7. You've still got this move d4 picking up the knight. So yeah, I mean there's all sorts of things. I mean black could play the move bishop d5 there. That wouldn't be so stupid. I mean, considering white's avoided e4, the point is you sort of say, well, if white's avoiding it, then I want Leela to play it. Does cost 2 10p, but not completely crazy. Practically solved. Yeah, it never feels like that when you play it. So I think that's the thing, I guess. Yeah, again, I'm still kind of keen on knight d7, maybe c6 also. Well, the bishop on b2 is protected now. So this would, and we're also attacking a rook on the 8, so this would probably not be the cleverest time to do it. Yeah, I mean, I feel that that Joel hasn't had an ideal opening now with black. Yeah, this has not gone ideally well for him. I think. Yeah, he's still played well, and he's a piece up, but it's kind of not 100% clear what should be done somehow. I mean, queen c8 is maybe quite interesting here. Just threatening bishop h3. That's a pretty typical plan. And the question is, what is white going to do? Because I mean, if you go d4, oh wait a minute. Yeah, actually, I can do this. Yeah, because now I play d5. Ooh, how good is this? I'm trying to exploit this. That's what I'm trying to exploit. Obviously, knight d5, bishop g7 is catastrophic. I'm just wondering whether how bad this is. Bishop d5 for black. No, it probably is quite bad. I take on here first. I take. You didn't have to take, of course, but then you just read and then take here. and assuming that I can survive here. I mean, it's always, again, with a piece odd, it's always the question about, are we really? But I would imagine that we can, that we're surviving here. Yeah, we'll have h4 and stuff. It'll be fine somehow. Yeah, this is a type of position where it's a little bit awkward. So I mean, Queen c8, c4, d4 is actually quite annoying. Then I mean, you have to go back to d7, but then this move Queen c8 doesn't make much sense. I guess c4 then will be rather annoying. There is also another possibility, which is worth pointing out, is the move f4, because we're attacking this one, and if e takes f4, we could take on f6. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel that this is a little bit of an irritating position for black. Certainly, if I was playing a quicker time control, I would 60% expected score. Okay, yeah, a mild success. This is a good position for Leela. Oh, I think I lost Lichess there for a moment, but it's back. So yeah, we didn't lose anyone on the stream. It was really Lichess. So knight d7 played by Joel. That's what I was advocating. Now Leela didn't play c4, just played rook c1. So okie dokie. It's a move. Obviously, you're sort of vaguely looking at a move like h5 to go h4, because there's a knight missing from the king's side. But I guess if here, we'll probably just come here and sort of look at the g5 square. Again, not bad or anything, but probably not ideal. I'm wondering whether Joel will just play d5 now, actually. I mean, I understand that this one's hanging, but I don't suppose it particularly is, really. We've got knight e4. d5 might be sensible. And if c4, then c6. I guess this is what Leela's kind of anticipating sneakily. Yeah, Larry, I think that's a very good summary indeed. Bishop d5 played by, we mentioned that, didn't we? Yes, and I thought that this might be Leela's idea. So Leela's clamping down now. So Joel played bishop d5, basically going on the idea that, well, if Leela doesn't want to play e4, I will force Leela to play e4. And after bishop e6, now Leela's just taken the opportunity to go for the big Botvinnik clamp. But yeah, okay. I mean, this now black gets a square on c5 for the knight for eternity. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit crucial now about how quickly Leela and how quickly Leela can sort of get some play going, and how whether black can do it. But it could be a little bit, I suppose, after knight c5, maybe Leela's just going to play d4 here. Takes with a pin. Knight h5 though. Yeah, maybe not actually. So knight c5. I mean, what I want to do is I want to play my knight somewhere, and actually I want to play f5 really. I think just put that one out there. So, and with the rook on c1 somehow, if my rook was on f1, I'd be thinking more about f4. But with the rook on c1, not so happy maybe. So knight c5 looks vaguely sensible, but maybe Leela will just play rook f1. If knight d7, play f4, exploiting that pin then. Yeah, f5, something like this. Starting to get quite sharp. But I don't think that black's got any particular problems, really. You know, I mean, Black's looking it's looking fairly solid there. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of ideas. I mean, G4 is always some sort of idea here. You know, and you can play something like F5, but B6 from Joel. Wow, not sure. Okay. So Leela's played knight F1. I guess that Joel's maybe thinking more about keeping his pieces on the king side. But knight F1, yeah. I mean, the knights will come round to E3. Covering the E3 square makes F4 just a little bit more possible. I'm guessing that Leela's next move, if nothing else happens, will be H3, knight E3, rook F1, and then you're going to be looking for F4 at some stage. So, but Joel's playing his time well here. He's 47 minutes. That's good. But I don't think he's quite got a grip of the opening so far, really. You know, I think, or rather, hasn't managed to disrupt Leela's, the sort of stuff that Leela likes somehow, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I mean, obviously, nothing wrong with Black's position. You know, I guess nothing's really improved for White either. But just it's not 100% clear what Joel's doing here. Oh, right, Larry, 1979. Yeah, he was promising pretty quickly, right, Joel? He was really he got strong very early. That's an interesting move from Leela. I wasn't expecting that because I was thinking that knight G4 would be possible now. To be honest. I was kind of expecting H3 from Leela. Because knight E3, knight G4. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could play a move like knight D5, of course. I mean, you're threatening you're going to play H3 next move. The question is whether giving up the light squared bishop. Yeah. Tough. In some ways, you sort of think any exchange would be good. On the other hand, the light squared bishop it's a little bit annoying because it means there's going to be a lot of weaknesses in Black's position. But I don't know somehow. Knights are pretty good. Yeah, I'd be intrigued to see what Leela does after knight G4. I mean, you could just go back to F1 and play H3. But maybe Black will take the opportunity to play F5 then. That's I'm a little bit what I'm thinking, really. Yeah, I suppose not clear really, right? I mean, I guess that, you know, if you took back with a pawn or something, I could play moves like D4. And maybe this is starting to look a little bit just slightly loose for Black. Well, it's always Leela doesn't avoid closed positions, but Leela also avoids a lot of draws in them. So it's a little bit, yeah. Leela's got two basic styles for odds chess. There's some very quick attacks, and there's also some there's some very long drawn out games. So it's kind of this is obviously one of the latter type, but yeah, not quite clear somehow. Never quite clear somehow, you know, which one you're going to get. I would definitely play knight G4. And I think that Leela's going to play knight F1. And after knight F6, probably play H3. I don't see why he wouldn't have played H3, to be honest. Yeah, F5. He could take back with a bishop, attacking this guy. H3, knight F6. Possible. after d4 there'd be knight d3, which would be awkward. Could go rook d1. Feels a bit passive, but maybe you're going to start getting out and things are going to start motoring. It's possible. But knight g4 would definitely be it. But of course, you've got to say yeah. Obviously, a draw by repetition is not a good result for black in principle there. So you need to be. You also need to be a little bit positive as well. But no, I quite like knight g4. Knight d5. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about this move. I mean, on the one hand, I'm really struggling to think that this would not be good for black, would not be positive for black. Because I really do feel that white needs a knight in this position, to be able to do anything. And the bishop you miss the light squared bishop because all of these pawns are on dark squares. But I think with the play concentrated on one side, I think the knight is absolutely fine there. So I think you've got to avoid it. But then I'm sort of thinking, well, maybe black can even play h5 here, h3, knight h6, and then look to play f5. Doesn't feel bad somehow, So, no, knight d5 was played. Well, Leela, I'm not sure I'm that impressed, to be honest. You can prove me wrong, of course, but I don't think that's a good move. I don't think that's a good move at all. I really think just h3 here was perfectly. I was really keeping the pressure on. Okay, well, we'll see. It's GM rated under 2700 against 3600 rated Leela, so you can you can pick who you think is the winner. But I'm not sure about this. Really not sure about this. I like f5 now, to be honest. I really do. I think that's a pretty decent move. Especially with all these pieces over here. f5 played, rook e1. I think Joel's playing really well again, he's... Well, actually, in my bullet games, Christopher, I've just been randomly sacrificing knights at times and just trying to play it like Leela odds. It is quite difficult, I have to admit. I'm not being particularly successful. I had one great game, but apart from that, well, I mean, I have to say I'm quite tempted by f4 in this position, obviously. And I'm wondering a little bit. Okay. Thanks, Larry. I'm sort of wondering what Leela would do. I mean, obviously, it takes queen h4 is obviously impossible. So, and here knight e3 is not to be recommended. So, I mean, I'm guessing that you're playing something like h3 then. And but after knight f6, what are you doing, actually? Because takes, I'll go knight h5, so, I mean, even e takes f4 looks dangerous, but maybe bishop f3. But it's just feeling like black's got all the trumps here, really, again. Well, Leela calculates 20,000 half moves per move. That's it. So so basically that takes a second or something, or less, you know. Oh, wow. Wow, Larry. I mean, rook f8 is quite interesting, right? Because of h3, I mean, we're going to take on f2 here and do this, which, you know, I mean, we're kind of decimating White's position here, so I think it's definitely worth it. Now, I'm not quite sure. I've no idea what Leela's going to do, actually, after rook f8. What on earth is Leela going to do after rook f8? Maybe f3? Knight f6, but yeah. I think we've got got one of those positions again where Joel seems to be in control. It's funny how it's happened. I just don't really like. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a few ideas there. I was looking at taking on here as well, and taking here, for example. Also pretty good, I think. Although, yeah, I mean, you bring the bishop back. I mean, I'm sure Leela will manage to cover that somehow. And this is also interesting, of course. I was thinking maybe Leela would take back on g3 there, but yeah, because after takes, this looks a little bit awkward again. But yeah, somehow I don't know. Swapping off the knight in this position was didn't feel like a good choice at all, you know. And I'm fearing for Leela here. So f3 played. So okay, knight f6 and bishop h3. Okay. So Leela is trying to be annoying. Yeah, no, that's true. Leela's certainly not stalling. It's true. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that Joel just sort of starts pointing his pieces towards the king now. Yeah, I mean, Queen f7 is possible because the d5 pawn is hanging. This was also indeed another very decent move. Knight's coming round to g5, just kick away the bishop. He's got plenty of time as well, so just got to take it nice and steady. I think I quite like Queen f7. Just and then Rook e7, Rook f8. Just line up a little bit more. That feels quite good. Yeah, Joel's done it. Bishop c1. Now, to be honest, I think if Joel plays a similar way to the way he played the first game, then this is going to be curtains as well. Yeah, I mean, one thing you could I suppose the one thing you've got to be careful about as black is, you mustn't sort of close the position too much and then not be able to break through because you've got no light square control. I mean, f4, g4, that sort of thing I'm thinking of. Although even that, to be honest, it would surprise me if white can actually hold that. But rook f8 surprises me a little, actually. Normally, when you want to bring rooks, you normally sort of bring the rooks. Yeah, Dvoretsky always used a sort of a hand gesture to explain how you should sort of mobilize your rooks. And I can't really explain why, but it makes sense to me. He always said, it's like this. You've got to do all like this. That was the one. And, so don't play rook f8, rook e8, play rook e7, rook f8. It's just a little bit more efficient somehow. But yeah, I mean, the moves, it doesn't actually matter too much about being super efficient here. What might be interesting here actually is to go rook f7, queen f8, and then h5, bishop h6. That might be quite nice. I mean, Leela's just in waiting mode now, so and Joel's doing really well. I mean, he's controlling it beautifully. He's not giving Leela anything at all, and I think Leela just took a really bad decision there with knight d5. I think that was quite poor. Yeah, you've got to watch out. I mean, what you mustn't do is do something like f4, just sort of take like this and then get hit by d4, and then it all starts getting all a bit messy and unclear and unpleasant. I mean, you might be able to sacrifice on e4, but, that's the sort of thing you don't want to allow. But I don't think, it's just not the thing that Joel's going to allow. But I think I'll be quite interested by playing rook f7, queen f8, and then h5, bishop h6. That feels quite like something quite decent, or not even h5, maybe bishop f6 to g5, something like that. Gradually come forward. Queen to d8. Yeah, Joel's just playing around a little bit. Watch out, Joel, no draw by repetition. Yeah, I mean, this is the type of position, of course. This is the type of position, of course. Move where my camera displays. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. I've got. I should have some. Let me have a look. No, that's not good. No, that's even worse. Who made me do there? Oh, there's no camera then. I'm not quite sure where I've gone now. Wait a minute. Well, I've just gone basically. That's here maybe. There we are. I'm sorry, I can't actually. I'm not sure I can actually. Wait a minute. Drag to move, they say. But yeah, I'm afraid I'm not. I'm not really able. This is going to look so weird on the stream if people look at it later. I'll have a go to see whether I can do it or not. It just seems to it says drag to move, but I seem to either make it big or small basically. But okay, Joel's got to find a way to break through, and obviously with less time, that's when you go a bit bananas, right? You know, it's very, very hard to make. Whereas with more time now, this is a position where you can sort of work it out somehow. Again, it's a little bit more risky. I mean, I do like the idea very much. Just the idea of being Petrojan, really, of trying to bring the king across, you know, and just putting it to safety on the queen side, and then afterwards you're less nervous about moving your pawns forward and everything. So I mean, you could go for a plan like you put your rook on e7, your rook on f6, your queen on f7, leaving the back rank free for the king to zoom across. I mean, there might be a slightly fraught moment as you're moving, you know, across the line of the bishop or something, but that might be quite a decent plan, actually. I mean, of course, what Joel's a bit wary about is, you know, playing a move like, for example, h5, and then, you know, you might get hit with something like this, and the queen's coming, and the pawn's hanging, and, you know, there's stuff, right? I think that's what he's kind of worried about. I mean, that's what you've got to be careful about. It's why that's why I quite fancy really just you know, getting rid of the getting the king over to the queen side, but it might be just way too optimistic somehow. f4. Is he going to take with the rook, actually? Is that what he's going to do? So I thought f4 was a bit risky, because, I mean, takes d4. But is he going to take with the rook? That's what he's going to do, isn't it? I'm sure that's what Joel's going to do. Because I wouldn't recommend takes d4. That's a definite no-no. I mean, it has to be rook takes f4, the idea. Was it because queen h4? Or maybe queen h4 first. How about that? Queen h4. I mean, I go bishop e6 and then you go rook f4. Takes queen f4, something like that. Something like that is what he's going to do. I'm pretty convinced. Interesting, isn't it? That I mean, I think Joel also decided that after g4 he would win that. Which yeah. I mean, I think queen h4 simply, and h5 is just going to be killing somehow. So he's played queen h4. Oh, just bishop g2 now. Okay. So rook f4 is going to happen, I guess. Bishop f4. Whoa. Well, this is about the ugliest position I've ever seen for white. Nah, black's under total control here. This is just winning, totally winning for black. I think there's not going to be. No, I don't think Leela's got a chance there. I don't think now. This has gone completely. You're just completely entrenched on all the squares, simply. So, I mean, now this is what you do. I mean, I'm not sure queen f4, rook f4 doesn't really matter, I think, but you know, you're just gonna put all your pieces like this. bishop to h4 maybe, knight to g5 anyway, you know, and then you're going to put your king over to the king side, and then afterwards you'll break through somehow. Yeah, exchange sacrifice was very good, well timed and clever. So no, d4 e5 isn't working. Yeah, this is looking very, very good for black. So I'm not quite sure what queen f4, rook f4, maybe rook f4 is nicer, I think. Yeah, I mean, you also get the idea of just going queen h5, rook f4, so that's quite a nice threat to have in your pocket. And then I think you play the knight to g5. The bishop's always covering. Obviously, the knight's invulnerable. Then I think you just put the king over to the queen side there, over to a7, just to make sure that your king's never in any danger. And then you're just going to start just trying to move the pawns forward. Probably try and move the pawn round to g4. You know, I mean, that's one idea. I mean, another idea would be. Oh, he's taken on with the queen. Doesn't matter. Okay, yeah. I mean, I was going to say another idea would be just to bring the knight to f4 somehow. So, and he's going to do it like that. So he was threatening knight g4. So rook a2, knight h5, rook g1. Yeah, he's going to bring a knight to f4 now. So this is going to be completely disgusting. Threatening knight g3 mate, and now knight f4. You dream about these positions. And even in your dreams, they're not as good as these. So, okay, I mean, queen f6, go h5 to chase away the rook. And then, yeah, I'm going to keep on saying it. Move the king over to the queen side. And then afterwards break through somehow. And g5, g4 somehow, you know. And it'll just... it'll be finished. And yeah, 32 minutes left, you know, so plenty of time really for Joel to do that. But I really do think everything started to go wrong when Leela played knight d5. I think that's really that was really a wrong way of playing. I think needed to keep the knight on the board in this sort of position. So I mean, I think we play h5. As I said, you can do it in various ways, but I just put the king. I just go h5. I put the rook to f7, king over to here, and then afterwards you're going to try and make a break with g5 to g4 work. You know, which I think you will manage to make that that work somehow. As always, against engines, it's never as easy as all that, but yeah, I mean, you will manage to make that work. And I think if your king's on a7, then that gives you an awful lot of leeway somehow. I mean, what might be interesting as well is to try and get the bishop, put the bishop on f4, and then it might, you never know, it might get to e3, d4 one time. That would also be a very nice thing to achieve. Yeah, the one great thing about Leela playing like this is that you never have to wait very long for a move to happen. So it's Joel's thinking, but it's Leela's not spending any time at all. So that's pretty cool. I think probably the only thing you've got to watch out a little bit for would be the move bishop f6, when White would play the move d4 here. I mean, even then, knight d7, yeah, takes bishop e5, yeah. Not sure whether that's really... Again, you're sort of wondering whether that's really... But I mean, I think we get moves like rook c3, for example. That could be a little bit awkward. So bishop f6 would not be a good move. But any other reasonable move is pretty good, really. It's funny in a way against a human opponent. Of course, you might play a number of quick moves as black just to run him a bit short of time and all that. But you don't do that against Leela. That doesn't really work. So. I mean, yeah, as I said, king over to here. But yeah, I do think that Joel's thinking about getting his bishop active somehow, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't necessarily want to play the move h5 because then his knight can never move from f4. I think that's. But I think if you play g5 later, you can play your knight round g6 to h4. So I think that's. I think that's just worrying a little bit too much about the things. I mean, I would understand as well that you might feel, oh, I'd like my knight to come over round to here simply, and there we are. You see, Joel is going for bishop f6. You've got to be a little bit careful though here, because I mean, if you play the bishop to g5, there might be d4 at some stage. Not that d4's, really achieving. Maybe Joel thinks actually that d4 will just open things up for black rather than white, and that is definitely an argument there, I have to say. So yeah, I think he's going to go bishop g5 there, then bishop d1. That was to stop the bishop from coming to e3. But d1's quite a decent square for the bishop, I suppose. It's covering a4 and f3. Sorry, I'm going silent there. I was just wondering actually whether bishop c1 was possible. Because, so I'm attacking the rook. If I go rook c3, I go bishop b2. And, well, I don't know whether knight d3 works, but I'll get the bishop to d4, which is very positive. And if you go to A2 to stop the bishop coming to B2, do I have knight D3? That's a bit of calculation, really, isn't it? Well, you don't really. I mean, I've picked up a pawn. Whether that's really good that I've picked up a pawn, I don't know. The knight's worse on B4 than on C5, but oh, he's done it. And this has happened as well. So, is Joel going to take on D3? That's an interesting one. I mean, knight F4 could be very strong as well, to be honest. The only thing that you can say about this is that you're starting to get a bit of calculation in here, and yeah, you had a position before where there was zero calculation, so not 100% sure that this is the perfect way to do things against Leela. But it is winning. I think knight F4 is very strong, actually. And I mean, knight D3, I think, is also very good. But I think that the point is that you will end up well, maybe you could play knight to F4. Could you do this? Conceivably, you can. There's just, no, I'll go rook C2 and take on C7. Well, I don't know. I mean, bishop E3. I'm going to have knight F2 checks. I mean, it's hard to believe that this is going to work, right? I mean, I think knight D3 is really strong. I can't see what... I mean, I think Joel will spend some time calculating it. But, I mean, yeah, knight F4 is also very strong. The only thing that can go wrong is if I'm missing something and I'm getting your bishop, Joel's bishop trapped for him. But I don't even see how that's humanly possible. I mean, the big problem is that, you know, if you start trying to play a move like bishop C2, you know, when this bishop's trapped, I go knight here and I'm unleashing the queen on the pawn here. So... I mean, I can go D4. This is possible. Black's position is a little bit looser, but is that doing white any good? Not sure. He's played knight F4, right? Not surprised. Queen G1. All right. So I would guess that knight D3, knight to D3 is the most natural. And we're just going to get our pieces back. Get our pieces back home and then just say we've won a pawn. Yeah, I'm trying to... I could go rook G2. I could even go G5. I mean, you know, it's... yeah, I think knight F takes D3 looks very sensible. Knight here is a little bit more ambitious, maybe. Because I don't allow the rook to come to G2, and I'm threatening bishop B2 to D4. That's what I'm aiming for. Yeah, it's easy to miss tactics. I missed a few Laub, quite possibly. I think this is looking quite... I don't see a way to do this. Rook c2. It's played rook c2. All right, but now we're going to play bishop a3. That's what Joel's going to do. I'm absolutely convinced. Followed by bishop c5. And this is absolutely horrific. Yeah, played queen f1. And now I think bishop c5. This is really good play from Joel. You know, he's really going for the maximum somehow, and he's still, you know, he's not burning time or anything really. He's going quite nicely. I suppose, yeah. I mean, the one thing that you might say about the one thing that you might say about this, I suppose, is that you know, you play something like rook d2, and the knight goes to b4. So this bishop's got more active, but this knight has got more passive. So you know, so from that point of view, but yeah, still, this is looking incredibly good somehow. I think this bishop, yeah, being this powerful is really, really horrible somehow. I mean, at some stage you'll come back to bishop e3 and the knight will come back to d3. I just don't know. You'd really want this bishop on f1 now, but it's just not going to be able to get there somehow. So, yeah, I think... yeah, I mean, even actually bishop b4 is not silly at all either. Just no need to rush. Just stop the knight from getting attacked, and you know, maybe threaten knight e1 at some stage. Also quite strong, I think. This is really impressive. It's just like when David Navarro played Leela, and you were just you know, it kind of looks easy somehow controlling the engine. Then you try and do it yourself, and it's not quite the same. Bishop b4. Joel did indeed play that. That was a good controlled move. I think those are the moves where the time makes the difference, right? You know, the moves where you just think a little bit more and you just get it just that little bit more right. You know, I think that's. Yeah, wow. I mean, what we can kind of dance all over all over White's position somehow, yeah. Bishop e1, bishop h4, h5, queen d7, knight h3. Yeah, it's pretty tough, really. So knight c5 played, rook c4. Not 100% sure about that move, knight c5. I think you could. Don't think you needed to do it, but okay. A bit less happy with it because I suppose it's not really true. I'm just a little bit worried. I don't want to get these pieces sort of out of the way there, you know, and and suddenly not contributing at all. But I think white just can't hold them. I think Black's knight can always return to d3 and then support bishop e1. So 21 minutes left for Joel, so he's still doing well here, doing very, very well indeed on time. I still want to put the king over to the queen side, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's necessary. But 'Forward chess'. Yeah, no, the forward chess versions of my books I think are very good actually. Silicon Road to Chess Improvement works very well on forward chess. Just easier to go through the variations when you want and not go through them when you don't want to. That works quite well, I think. Not sure. I'm wondering whether Joel might play queen d7 here, actually, just to stop the queen from coming out to h3 and then look to play something like knight h5. So, for example, queen d7. Well, I'm not quite sure what move you would. I'm not quite sure what move you've got as white, but yeah, queen d7 feels maybe like a solid move to play, because you might want to try and start maneuvering with the knight and have some threats of taking on e4 and stuff, but you don't want to allow the queen to come out to h3 maybe. So quite like the look of queen d7. Bishop a3, rook c2. Okay, so Joel decided to hint a little bit at well, actually, what Joel wanted was well, it's what Julian Hodgson always said: you want it with jam on. So he wants his position with the bishop on d4, but Leela anticipated that, stopped it with rook c2. So the a4 pawn is hanging, but then we'll go rook a4, I think, rook a2 rather, which will pick up a piece, so we don't want to do that. Okay, so a little bit of a repetition there from Joel. Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can say is that obviously at some stage there will be a little bit of nerves from Joel, of course, because it's a sort of position where if you were playing a human player, that they would collapse. And the important thing is just to keep things going, keep things moving, and you don't need to find a clear path. The opponent will find it for you. Yeah, obviously Leela, it's somewhat different somehow. That's why, playing this odds chess is a really good training for converting winning positions. I do think that if I was going to play seriously again, it's probably unlikely, but if I ever was going to play seriously as a professional again, I want to get myself back up to speed, then yeah, playing better or winning positions out against engines would definitely be one of the ways that to do that. Because yeah, this looks easy, and of course against a human it is quite easy, but yeah, against an engine you've got to make it work somehow. And Leela's perfectly fine, just waiting around, and will parry any little threats that you make. And yeah, it's not like you're getting time to think, and you've got some nice time to look at your opponent sweating and all of that. you don't get any of those signals back. That's what makes playing engines particularly tough somehow. So and yeah, you know, with Leela calculating less somehow, Leela doesn't have enough time to get totally depressed. That's very solid. Come on, Joel, put the king on the queen side. You know you want to. It makes sense. I think king on the queen side, and then we do some shuffling. I mean, we've got quite a few ways to do stuff here, but I mean, essentially, h5, g5, g4 is going to be the breakthrough because that weakens the e4 pawn. So, you know, we just for example, there, I mean, if I played bishop a3, if I had my pawns on h5 and g5, bishop a3, rook c2, and then played g4, then e4 is falling, you know, that sort of thing. So, but in order to do that, I want my king over here. That's what I really want. And then afterwards, it should be trivial. If you're doing it with the king on h7, then you know, you just don't. Then I'm getting a bit worried, because when you break through, you know, I get a bishop coming to g4 to f5, or, you know, the b1 h7 diagonal is open, so I don't want that. But I mean, it might be possible to win without that. I mean, without the g5 to g4 break, it might be that you can maneuver tactically, you know, and just win. That there's some tactical way to force something, but the chances that you make a mistake then are quite high somehow, you know. So I wouldn't really recommend that. I mean, you know, if you feel that this knight would be useful on the king side, what you could do is play the move knight b7. I mean, this is possible. And then we're going to play bishop c5, and then we're going to move the knight round d8 f7 to g5 and put pressure from that angle. That is completely possible, you know. Ooh, exchange odds. Yeah, I don't think that would be very tough for the human exchange odds, I think. No, but I think this is good. I mean, I think knight odds is pretty good. Question is whether this time control is just a bit too comfortable for the human players. But we're going to see. Yeah, I mean, first games, you know, don't necessarily, you know, say everything. Yeah, it's we'll have to see once. Yeah, a number of different openings have been played. At the moment, it's looking, you know, like. And it is true. Joel is in complete control and just bullying Leela. But yeah, things can very easily look different. So so Leela's allowed the bishop to d4. Thought Leela was going to prevent that. No, probably was difficult anyway. It was probably impossible to stop the bishop coming to d4 anyway, I guess, because I mean, there was this plan of going knight d7, bishop c5, so you're always getting to the diagonal. So I think Leela's probably spotted that. Feels very much like this Monty Python thing, right? That you know, you sort of say, "'Tis but a scratch," you know, you cutting off the, Joel's gradually cutting off the left leg and the right leg and the right arm and the left arm, and Leela's still claiming that it's all fine. But Joel's doing a really good job here. I mean, he really is doing a great job. None shall pass, indeed. But you can imagine they're trying to win this with less time. 3+2. Oh, dear me. I mean, I really am very keen on... I mean, I don't know whether you could do it more easily somehow. I think that's what Joel's trying to do. He's trying to bring his knight over to the king side. But I do think that, just playing the knight background there, the bishop here blocking, so, got control of that diagonal there, and then bring the knight back round into play there. Bring the king over to the queen side. Sorry, I keep on saying that. And then I think then you just break with g4, and you must be just killing somehow with no chance of counterplay at all. I'm sure that is kind of the right way to do it, the safest way to do it. But I think, I do think, nerves do play a role here. I mean, I am somebody who gets nervous about these things, especially nowadays that I'm a bit older. Winning positions, feeling that I really do want to just win them, but knowing that I have actually messed up quite a few in my career. Yeah, I mean, nerves do play a role, especially when playing against an engine, because you know that you don't want to lose control. That's the thing. You're keeping beautiful control. You don't want to lose it at all, because you know that as soon as things get a bit hairy and tactical, then it's worrying. But I think, if there's one thing that I've learned about how the engines play much better positions, or even positions they consider winning, it's that they shuffle their pieces around on their outposts. So you often see Leela, has managed to secure a number of great outposts, like Joel has done here with black, and then we'll just simply shuffle. So it's why I'm suggesting, this idea of you had a knight on c5, well, move your knight away from c5 and put the bishop on c5. You've got a knight on f4, move it away, put a rook on f4. It's just, that's how the engines tend to play like that. It's not quite a plan, really, but it's exploring the possibilities of your position somehow. And then normally what happens is that at some stage, one of those piece setups is successful in breaking the opponent, but you've managed to do it actually without needing any big calculation. And it's a very powerful way of playing these controlled positions. And rather than trying to find a forced win somehow, you just let the in a way the weight of your the mobility that you have in the position, just overwhelm the opponent. Oh, now I think this is what Joel was waiting for. This is what Joel was waiting for, and I hadn't expected Leela to do it. Well, Mr. Beads was expecting that. But Mr. Beads is a clairvoyant when it comes to Leela. It's not a bad moment to do it. I think Leela's looking to play the rook over to h2 and play the bishop to c2. That's what Leela's looking for. And just sort of cover the black pieces somehow. So I'm expecting rook h2. Yeah, okay. And now bishop c2 is going to come next. Yeah, I think really Joel. Yeah, it would have been better to keep the queen on. Yeah, to stop. Yeah, probably would be better to stop this. I was a bit surprised, but looking at it, probably better to stop it. I think, but yeah, okay, still not. But I seriously do want the king over here now. I really do. I don't like. I don't like this here. Don't want this here. I mean, it's also nice playing the king over to a7. I mean, that gains you a few extra minutes in increments. But playing the bishop to c2 is very nice somehow. But I think, yeah. I mean, I think also bringing the knight to f6 to h5 is going to be incredibly unpleasant as well. So knight d7, bishop c5. Oh, h5 played. Interesting. Is Joel going to play knight d3? The thing about h5 that's funny is that you can't move the knight away now, so it's kind of blocked on f4. And if white plays bishop c2, then the knight can't go to d3. So it's maybe a now or never, I think. It's been done. Hilarious, this, isn't it, really? So yeah, knight e4, there's queen d3. I mean, this would obviously still be winning for black, very much so actually. But yeah, it's not quite what you'd necessarily want to do, I think. I mean, I don't know whether Joel's going to want to bring the bishop round to f6 and it's not inconceivable. Could actually be very good. I mean, I can play bishop h6 here. And then I'm not quite sure what I do. Maybe king g1, for example. Whatever. I'm not quite sure. Knight f4 here, and then here. And then I'm going to come around here and attack this pawn. Eugh. I think that's probably quite good, actually. Starting to look borderline holdable for white after h5. Mr. Beads, your optimism setting is through the roof. Playing other people at the same time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I saw that there were still challenges going on the bots. Funny. Joel's almost there, right? Yeah, he's got to just be a bit careful with the time. You don't want to start getting down to, yeah. But I think this is a lovely plan actually. Bishop h6, knight f4, and then the bishop comes round to f6. The king's on a7, and then we got the bishop f6, rook g7. Even if we're not winning the pawn on g5, we can support g5 simply. I think that's brilliant. Nah, I think it's going to be okay. We've got the plan. We've got our plan. Oops, sorry, not that. We've got our plan. So we put the bishop to h6. We go knight to f4 just to solidify everything. Then we move the king over to a7 just to make sure it's safe. And then the bishop comes back to f6, hitting the h4 pawn, so tying down the rooks. And then we get our rook and queen ready for a break. Okay, knight f4 played. There are many ways of playing. Maybe Joel's just gonna. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe Joel's just gonna play the rook to there and go g5. Conceivable. Got to watch out a little bit though, because I've got an idea of playing queen e1 to chase the bishop back, and then to play the rook to g5. And then it's going to be a little bit tough to shake that rook, I think. It is true that Mr. Beads, as a long time Leela fan, has developed an incredible capacity to hope for Leela to save games. But I think it's quite. I do think it's kind of important actually that the bishop, that you don't get the opportunity to put the rook on g5 actually. I think Joe's okay. Yeah, this one. Oh, I don't think Joel should have allowed this. I mean, no, he shouldn't have allowed this. I think he had such a nice plan, really, and yeah, this is not. I mean, thing is, what you can do at some stage, you can just sacrifice. If you've got your bishop on here, you can sacrifice, take back, and then you're just going to be pawns up with a totally one position. I mean, I think that's what you've really got to go for now. I think you've got to take that window of opportunity somehow at some stage. How you do it, of course, is quite important. And yeah, king h6. Oh, God, Leela's going to start getting tricky here. If the bishop moves away and you can't get it back to e3, then I'm not 100% sure how you're winning this, to be honest. That's my big problem. I mean, maybe you can, yeah. Yeah, 30 seconds increment should help a lot, but I don't know. Yeah. Starting to feel that at some stage we should be looking for a sack back. You know, if you know what I mean. You know, like here and takes. Not in this particular situation because you'd lose everything, but I'm sort of wondering how we're going to manage that. Ah, 6 minutes 36 now. Oh, he's done it. Oh, God, yes. Sorry, I totally missed that. Sorry, that went rather fast. Rook c2, knight f2. I totally missed this plan, so my apologies. Check. Well, they are all winning, really. Knight g5 is clearly winning, and king h6 clearly winning. Well done, Joel. Sorry, I totally missed this this plan. I was getting caught up with my own thoughts. Although it could go queen e6, I suppose. No, you can stop it. Should be all right. Although, is that... You always wonder somehow. Have we discovered a fortress or something? I think this one should be pretty good. This one should be pretty good, I think. I mean, we're just threading queen f6 to f4, so we can always break the pin. Yeah, this one, I think knight g5 feels like the best one. No, it's okay. He's done it well. It's just I was getting a bit worried there with the increment and everything, but or rather with the time running a bit shorter and all that. But he's managed to find a good way of making it happen. So knight g5 is a good move as well. And now I think Joel will go. Yeah, I don't know. King h6 is one possibility. Queen f6 to f4. Rook to f4 is also quite decent. We are going to see another point for Joel. Yeah, plenty of time there. No pressure. Yeah, I guess queen h6 now is the way we want to do it. With a little threat of rook h4 and knight f3 check. So after king h6, yeah, takes. There's no counterplay or anything. We've got rook h4 there. So this is just finished. Wow. Well, Lee hasn't even taken the piece. Well, we're now in a situation where Joel will convert this with 2 seconds increment. Still quite keen on transferring the king to the queen side, but that might be overkill. Yeah. Queen to g6 is quite nice. h4, queen h5. You just sort of proceed without giving white any hope at all. Oh, he might do as well, yeah. He's going to do it. Indeed. Absolutely trivial. King coming in. And then head for the hills. Munch, 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 munch. Oh, Joel's not even taking the A and B pawn. Yeah. Excellent. Well played, Joel. I was a little bit worried there that, you know, it's taking a lot of time, but it was never, ever in doubt. So brilliant. Ah, okay. Interesting, Larry. Lawnmower. Queen f1. Yay, the lawnmower technique. There we are. Brilliant. Well played, Joel. 2-0 and beautifully controlled. Beautifully controlled again. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Leela really made a big mistake with knight d5. After knight d5, there wasn't much hope somehow, I think, in general. Obviously, put up a fantastic resistance there. But yeah, you know, it's, but I mean, you know, you definitely expect a strong player like Joel to win that. So brilliant. Well played, Joel.
Thanks. Sometimes I get it right.
Oh, that was very. You had some nice squares there for your pieces.
I had some nice squares, but I don't know. It's funny, you know. You have that position against a human, and you're 100% sure you're going to win.
Yeah.
But you know, playing against Leela, you think like any moment you could fall into some kind of trap. And
yeah.
There were a couple of moments in that ending where instead of going back and forth, it like did something new, and I didn't realize like I had forced it to do something new.
Yeah.
But it did, and it, you know, and so it, you know, it moved on to the next thing. So I was actually kind of proud of the fact that, you know, I saw this, you know, king h6 move, preparing knight f2.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
I'd missed knight f2. I was sort of thinking, oh God, you know, how's it going? Has it gone a bit wrong somehow? You know, but yeah, this knight f2 was really nice. Really nice idea, and the preparation for it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was very, very nice indeed. Because I was getting a bit worried. I thought, God, if your bishop gets chased away from e3 somehow, then I don't know how you. I'm wondering how you're breaking through somehow, but
I wasn't at all sure that I was going to manage it. I mean, here that, you know, the time just made a huge difference. You know, I could not have won this game at a faster time control. I mean, there was just no way I would get the details right.
Yeah,
you know, playing a quick game, but it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, no, it's really it's good, isn't it? I mean, you've just got time just to every time that Leela does something odd, you just yeah, you know, you just have some time to reflect, get your bearings again, and find the next plan somehow.
Well, you know, I thought like at some point, like, shouldn't I just, you know, make a million moves just back and forth? And then I thought like, but I have to be careful because I might allow it to position where you know, my pieces get pushed back, or I can't get them where I need to go. So I maybe don't have so much time to mess around.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I was a bit surprised that when Leela played knight d5 somehow. You know, I was really shocked by that. I couldn't believe it.
What did you think it would do?
Well, I didn't. I thought instead of knight e3, it would play h3. You know, I mean, that was what I was expecting.
Yeah, not let me trade that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very hot to trade that knight for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, part of me thought like, okay, you know, sometimes when you give it the bishop pair, even the bishop pair doesn't look like much. But I thought, you know, that if I don't take the knight on d5, you know, like if I play something like f5, then I might get a position that later on I think about taking the knight, but his bishop is in the game. And I thought I'd take the knight. There's no way that light square bishop is really going to get in the game.
Yeah.
And my black square bishop kind of neutralized his black squared bishop. So I didn't think there was really too much risk in giving up my good bishop in this position.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing is, I was really, you know, that like, okay, how do I actually win the game?
Yeah.
And I thought that f4 was a very good choice. And I'm not sure that it really should actually take on f4, because if it doesn't take on f4, it still might kind of keep the position blocked.
Yeah, I think it wasn't expecting a human to sacrifice the exchange. I think that's what Larry said. That,
really?
Yeah.
What? Like it discriminates against me for being a human?
Yeah,
I mean, rook takes f4. I mean, come on, Matthew. That's a no. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer. But I think that's what Larry said. That you know, in the simulation, the you know, the way it's been trained, it thought the rook takes f4 from a human player was unlikely. So so that's.
But I'm not just any human player.
Yeah, exactly. If it only had been told you talk to Deep Blue before you see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that's quite funny somehow. But that was yeah.
But the funny thing is that, you know, like for an experienced player, I mean, rook takes f4 is actually a very easy move.
Yeah.
Because if you're an experienced player, you understand the square control. You
Yeah.
know, so you know, it's not really a human computer thing. A human computer thing is really more like an extremely hard to calculate variation or hard to move to see. So that was interesting, But I think I'm not sure it should have taken an f4.
No, I think that was probably that was giving you pretty much everything somehow. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm confident you would have.
I mean, even g4. If it goes g4, I think that position is actually harder to crack than the one that I got.
Yeah, although I guess you aren't you very quick with this somehow?
Maybe I'm. Yeah, actually, you know what? I guess I'm just too quick. I'm just too quick.
There.
But I mean, I thought maybe it could leave the pawn on g3 and wait, like bishop g2 and wait, and then that I was a little less sure about. I mean, obviously, black is piece up for nothing here, but you know, but winning the game is, you know.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think definitely think you're right there. It's. But yeah, I think Leela just underestimated the human brain there. But it was no. It was
I was still, you know, actually, I was still kind of shocked. Like I was shocked that I got the bishop around to the other side. Did it really have to let me do that? I didn't. Maybe I was forcing it, but at the time I didn't realize that I was forcing it. I thought my bishop could get as far as f4, but I wasn't sure it would get farther than that. But I was very happy when I did.
I think you were playing really well, actually. To be honest, Joel, I really were. I mean, that was
somehow it's coming together.
Yeah, that was our feeling looking at it. I mean, your moves were looked very, very good all the time. You know, so I think you know, Leela just had to keep on. You know, it's the Monty Python thing, where you chop off the leg and then the arm, and they keep on saying, "I'm fine, I'm fine."
It's just a flesh wound.
You know. It was really good, really impressive, I have to say. So you know, good to see.
All right, this one now. That was a long one. I have to rest up a little bit and hopefully, hopefully keep it going.
Yeah, great playing, Joel. Really enjoying seeing you do this. So lots of luck for the next one, huh?
Okay, all right. Take care. See you later.
Bye. All right, so there we are. We've got so the next game is in 45 minutes. It's at 10 o'clock UK time. So not just any human player. Yes, indeed. It's so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the stream again, and we'll always start again something like 15 minutes before the next game starts. Very impressive play from Joel. So really, really good. Yeah, very, very impressed. So absolutely brilliant. Next one in 45 minutes. Yeah. So be there or be square. Yeah, very much looking forward to see what Leela can drum up for us in the third game, and whether Joel can make it 3 out of 3. Fantastic. Thanks very much, everyone. Hope to see you soon.